So one person that I've been recently following is someone that I probably normally wouldn't follow. For example, when I say Tai Lopez, what comes to mind? Some people might say, hey, he's a scammer, right? Other people might think, here in my garage, right? Like on the phone. And you might think of that ad. While most of the people on Reddit or YouTube might say knowledge, right? With a bookcase behind their back, right? Believe it or not, I actually don't follow Tai Lopez. I don't buy his products. I don't watch his content. So why am I following him? Well, one of the things I recently realized about Tai Lopez was that he is a master about how he responds to his haters, his trolls, his critics. Now, if you've ever dealt with haters or trolls, there's not a lot of great advice on the internet. I know because I'm going through it at the moment, and I'm actually asking a lot of my friends about it. The haters and trolls started coming about probably a year ago when I had a few videos blow up regarding men going on their own way, incels, and when that being single at 30 video really blew up. Ever since then, every few weeks I have I'm not sure if it's an individual or group of haters. They flood my live stream, they mass dislike my videos, they even harass my personal Instagram and my personal email as well, which is kind of messed up, but it doesn't leave me with that many options because one, you can't really go to YouTube because even when you bring it up to YouTube, they don't really do anything, right? And when I talk to my friends, they tell me, hey, just block these people. But how do you respond when blocking doesn't work because they just create another account? Do you take legal action? Do you sue their ass, right? Which I don't think is always the best option. Or do you look within, take some ayahuasca, kill your ego, and just learn to live with it? What do you do? And so, like I said, conventional wisdom will tell you, hey, ignore the haters. But honestly, this advice sucks because it doesn't solve the root problem. And what I believe the root problem is holding people accountable for what they're saying. Like, it doesn't hold the anonymous accountable. It was really interesting to see Tai Lopez respond to his hater, right? Because instead of following the conventional wisdom, which conventional wisdom sucks of just ignoring the hater sometimes, he jumped on a live stream with his critic, and I think the critic's name was John Henry. And I noticed three really interesting things about the live stream. One, the conversation is documented in an unedited raw stream type of format. So I think that is important because so many times it's easy when you're doing a critique video, it's so easy to take things out of context and edit things to make your point. But in a raw format, you understand the whole situation, you understand where they're coming from, you understand the intent, because you could easily say something like, oh, I killed someone, and you could automatically assume that's really bad. But if you edit the part where I killed someone while I was in war and they were trying to kill me, well, is that justified? Does that give you context? And so that's why I believe that taking things, having things in a raw edited format is really important. Second thing I noticed about Tai Lopez, instead of attacking his hater, being like, why are you doing this, blah blah blah, Tai Lopez, he really slows the pacing down, and instead of criticizing his attacker, he takes time to understand his critic's point of view by remaining curious and asking questions. Like, he asks him some pretty foundational questions like, hey John, listen, we've been talking about, and I'm paraphrasing, listen, John, we've been talking for about an hour. How come you haven't asked me any specific questions about how I run my business, how I make my decisions? I thought that was very profound because he was like, you know what, whenever I'm in a room where someone is running their own business or more successful than me, I'm always asking those questions to them, right? And I thought that was really, really interesting. And what I noticed, and the third thing is what I noticed about John Henry, and I don't know the guy, I don't really watch his content, but his speech patterns were super fast paced, right? And you could tell right off the bat, his intent was to expose Tai Lopez for his lack of knowledge of real estate and startups. And rather than argue, like if I were to critique Tai Lopez, I would probably go in with a more curious mind of, hey, how do you run your business, and argue specific points regarding his business experience instead of wasting time on trivia questions, which honestly, throwing trivia questions doesn't matter, right? If I mean, maybe if you're in school, but honestly, it's not a good, it's not, knowing a certain formula or knowing certain things is not a good basis of somebody's expertise. Now, here's the one interesting thing I realized as well, even with my friend, he actually recently started his shoe brand, right? He doesn't know, he wasn't grown up doing shoes, but he can coordinate all the right people. He can build a dream team to make the dream happen. So even though you could have a course on something like real estate as well, if you get the right people who can teach those aspects which you're missing, that's great. You know, that is how the highest level of entrepreneur, that's how, I mean, I guarantee you Steve Jobs didn't know everything about the iPhone or any of that. He leverages people's experience and people's knowledge as well to make the dream happen. So my final thoughts: in a world where, you know, conventional wisdom will tell you to ignore haters, I think this is a really rare piece of content that, you know, is a must watch for anyone who is going through haters and trying to understand the perspective of internet critics, trolls, whatever you want to call them, essentially, right? And should you jump on the phone or jump on a video chat with every single hater? No, I'm not saying that. But after watching this long debate with Tai and his critic, I had this lingering question in my head, and I was just like, why are you wasting time with a critic? And Tai had a really great response to this in one of his other videos, where he said, it's important to respond to haters sometimes. In this world, people get mixed up with ideas, and it's important to clarify things. So with that being said, you should definitely check out this video. I'll put in one of the cards over here, and you guys can check that out. All right, so this is what I've been really thinking about this week. You know, the truth is, there's a lot of people who want to start their own business. They want to start their own side hustle. They want to start